Welcome back. Well, when kids have trouble reading and comprehending, it affects all academic areas, not just English. So how do you get kids to read more?
Sarah Schnuelle is an elementary school teacher at Palmyra Eagle, and she's here with simple ideas to build reading skills. Good to have you here. You're a first grade teacher.
Yes.
So fun. So that's when they're really starting to do a lot more reading. They've got, you know, things going on. How can parents of early readers help their children be a little bit better?
Even before they get to us, that emergent literacy piece is so important. So having reading materials everywhere in your house. Kids need to see you reading and, you know, kind of to learn how to turn the pages of a book. And but as far as supporting their schooling, once they get into that more academic piece, having a nightly reading routine is so important. It's like brushing your teeth. I mean, that would be the most important thing. 15 minutes a day is a great goal.
It's tough. I think if you have kids at different ages, because you teach first grade, it's tough to have maybe a child in middle school or even high school who they tend to be so involved with a lot of extracurricular things. And if you have more than one child in particular, or you work, or you're busy volunteering, or doing things outside the house, it can be really challenging to find the time and to get into a good routine.
We hear that a lot. And of course, having a routine often then means that it's less likely to be overlooked, but I understand that it's hard for people to do. So there are simple things like just audiobooks, listening to audiobooks in the car. You got to drive somewhere. If you've got all the kids, throw a book in. Things like if you can, as a family, maybe do a little book club, so you read the book before you see the movie, or if you have older children that can read to the younger ones. But one of the most important things for making reading really accessible for kids is to have a great vocabulary and comprehension skills, and developing language is a really important part of developing that reading success. So just having conversations with your kids every day, all of them individually, even the little ones, about what's going on in their day is going to be a really important part for helping them become better readers too.
I think those are great examples and skills that they can learn from. As Molly mentioned, what if you do have the older kids though? What if you have a middle schooler or a high school student? How can you help them? I didn't always like to read. I was a big magazine person, or I read the comics or the paper, but I didn't always pick up a book after middle school.
That's a really typical response, and I would say reading a magazine is okay. I think too many parents think that if kids aren't reading Shakespeare, that they're not reading and that they're not learning to be better readers. But we know from research that kids need to have completely different sets of literacy skills in every area. So there's nothing wrong with reading a high-quality blog or a recipe or a magazine. There's some great graphic novels for middle and high school students that certainly are still going to develop those skills, even if it's not a novel.
I think that's a great tip, because I think being exposed to a whole variety of different types of things to read, like with my son, I might put out the sports section or something. That's definitely reading, and that's probably at a higher level than some of the books he might see in third grade. I wonder about Classroom Connections, which is this publication that WEAC has put together, the union has put together. Why do you see this as being important for them to make available, particularly to parents?
I think parents want to support their kids. I think all parents really, but they don't always know how. And this is a great resource that they can go to get some concrete ideas that they can use immediately, but also just to have something to refer back to maybe once the school year gets going, and the beginning of the year is so crazy and there's so many things to get in place, and then once you get part ways in, it's something to refer back to when things settle down a little bit.
I think that's great, and just to leave parents with something, if they don't have a lot of time and they are rushed and they are going to all these extracurriculars, how can parents work at being better at creating some structure around the reading?
Well, absolutely, if you can do it, like I said, brushing your teeth, reading a little book, a short book with a little one takes no more than a couple of minutes. So if it's something you're going to do anyways, read a book while they brush their teeth, or right away before they go to bed, 2 or 3 minutes. But with an older student, it can even be, if there's something that they're interested in, a certain reality TV star that they're following or something, just leaving an article around the house with the magazine open and flagged to something that might interest them. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be. Best case scenario, you would be with them reading it, but if you leave it, kind of strategically in a place that they might be inclined to pick it up, those are things that you can work into your daily routine maybe more than they would have to.
And I think that all gets to finding things they're actually interested in reading, which is the key. And I like what you just said. That's a great idea for parents to also show interest in your child and to recognize what their interests are, which I think is great. So here's information on how you can get that magazine that we just showed you. It's called Classroom Connections, and you can go to weac.org/parents. And the WEAC information, you can find their website by going to weac.org. It's WEAC, which stands for the Wisconsin Education Association Council. A pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
Absolutely.